coursework that comes in from other places. And what we'd like to make sure everybody does is sign in at the back. That way we know who was here today and who didn't attend so that we could follow up with people who were not here. So this is the handout that you have. Hopefully I've made enough copies. Is a draft. We're just putting some ideas together, but we know that questions are going to come up and there might not be answers. We might have to go and research answers. So I'm going to be taking notes of any questions that we know we need to now put into this document so that it will be a better resource for the future for everybody. Let's see. So Pam had made a really great observation a while back, which is that gone are the days where we just made our local degrees however we wanted to, and we could include whatever courses we wanted to in our courses. Now with the ADTs, things are more streamlined. There's statewide templates that we have to follow, so we have to follow different rules in terms of bringing in coursework from other places. So it's important that we're all doing it the same way. About a couple of years ago, our accreditation team that came and visited us told us that we needed to have a policy and language on how we accept credit from other places at BBC. So if you have not looked at it in the catalog, read through pages 58 through 64, either in your current catalog or in the new catalog. By the way, they're printed and Reva is getting them ready to distribute. So yay, so that's pages 58 to 64. It's called Transfer and External Exam Credit. So if you haven't had a chance to look at those pages, it really outlines what we do here. So it's good information for us, but it's also good information for students so that they know what to expect. And as Pam and I go through our sections today, we'll talk about other resources of information that we use in order to bring information.
So what are those pages again?
They're pages 58 to 64. It's called Transfer and External Exam Credit. That's what this section is. Okay, so as I mentioned, this handout that you have, we're going to fix it up, add more to it, and we're going to put a copy of it in Council Pool. And I know that Donna and Lisa, you don't have access to our Council Pool, so I'll make sure that you have a copy of that. So just from my perspective, we started using the new transcript evaluation forms last Monday. And so I started taking the file and reviewing them, and I know Pam recently started doing that. And I think it's a good, it's making me make sure that I look things up and know that I know that information because it came from somewhere and not just somebody told me that a long time ago, and that's how I've been operating. So it's a really good to keep those checks and balances. And it's a good dialogue because when we're getting back to the people who did the initial evaluation, if something's different from what they had put down, then we can talk about it and make sure we're on the same page and then doing it differently in the future. So I think those are just our intros. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the guide here. So you can follow along, and we divided our guide up by the different types of transcripts or exams that a student might bring in to kind of keep us just focused on one area at a time. And Pam and I separated it out. So she's going to present. So if we start from the top, also I want to say that some folks in the room are very, very seasoned, have been doing transcript evaluations a long time, and have a lot of knowledge and information that they bring here. And then others are newer and have not evaluated transcripts at all. And so I was coming from the frame of maybe someone who has not evaluated external transcripts to make sure that we cover all the very basic information too. So at the top, BBC accepts credit from U.S. regionally accredited post-secondary schools, foreign coursework from foreign schools, but it has to be evaluated by an approved evaluation service. So in that section of the catalog that I just gave you, it tells you what those evaluation services are. I've had students bring foreign transcripts in that are not evaluated by those services, so unfortunately they have to have it evaluated by a different agency. military service credit, military transcripts, and then the 4 standardized exams that you see here. AP, International Baccalaureate, Prep, and Bond. So really quickly, the external transcript evaluation, you're going to have the students complete the request for evaluation of external transcripts. Yes.
Does everybody know what IB transcripts are? So IB transcripts are International Baccalaureate. So some high school, closest one to us, I'm not sure the one up here, is Home High School. Home High School next to Cal State San Bernardino offers IB baccalaureate courses. So students can take those courses and transfer them. It'll be posted on their transcript. So that's what IB is. I don't think we have a school up here that has IB. I thought maybe University Prep, but I don't think so. No. But you can go on to the IB website and IB school, just get someone who transfers up here, wants to use that in place of another course. That's what IB stands for, International Baccalaureate. Okay.
Hi, Manny. Okay, so the request for course evaluation of external transcripts, as you know, is this form where the students initial what they're requesting. And I just wanted to bring this up to point out that you want to make sure you're using the most current copy. So make sure it has that little revised date down there.
The date is hard to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I didn't bring it, but I believe it's it was June 7th. It's the most current one that's in council.
Oh.
The second form is the actual evaluation form that looks like this. So the reason we doctored up this example a little bit more is because initially some counselors thought only college coursework could go on this form, but it's also a place where you would put AP scores, CLEP, or whatever else. So if the student's bringing more than tools to use, you're still going to use this thing.
Also on the CLEP area here, in the catalog, it has all of our CLEP examinations. So, for example, a student came in and wanted to CLEP out on statistics. There is no CLEP exam for statistics. So, you have to share the bad news, you might have to stay called out, whatever. But, so those CLEPs are also listed in our catalog, along with the AP exams, and what we credit those units towards our associate patterns. So all this is also in catalog. We're on the same page.
Okay, so back to the steps for external transcript evaluation. You'll have them fill out that initial form, initial it, and that just gives the permission that and the request that they want that done. So the very first thing that you do when you are evaluating coursework from other places, if it's a school, is check that it's regionally accredited, or if it's a foreign institution, you check that it was evaluated by one of those approved evaluation services. You evaluate the appropriate areas, count up the degree applicable, CSU transferable, and UC transferable units. So I'll bring this form back up.
Yeah.
For those of you online, we're getting used to this system, so thank you for your patience. So down here at the bottom, it says College 1. So that would refer to, in this example, Chaffee College. And so you would put degree applicable, Cal State transferable, and UC transferable units, and then the units from the second college and so forth. So that's what we mean by total up the amount of units if it applies. So obviously students don't need to know the total for every. So then what you're gonna do is put copy of this form and the request and any supporting documents into the basket in building 55 so that a second person can review it. So if the student brings the official transcript to you that day, still put the official in the basket so it goes to the administrator, but put a copy of the transcript with this form so that when we're looking at it, we have something to review. If the official copy is already in image now, then you don't need to waste paper and make another copy of it. You can just write on there that the official is already in image now, so we know that to find it. Okay, so after we complete the second evaluation, you're going to get a scanned copy of this back to you so that you can then connect with the student and tell the student, yep, everything checked out, you're good, or no, unfortunately it didn't. Here's what we have to do to fix your plan. Okay? All of our completed copies are going to be scanned into Image Now. So in Image Now, you're going to start to see evaluation external transcripts as one of the labels on the different types of documents in there. And so you'll find it in Image Now. And the hard copies are going to be filed where our SNMs are in general counseling. So in case it's not in Image Now, but you know it was done, send it back to you. Sometimes things get scanned. Few general reminders, courses towards CSUGE, IGETSE, and UC transferability need to have been taken during the time period when they were in that particular area. If a student took 100 out of school in fall of 17, but it was CSUGE until fall of 18, then we cannot count that class. We can't count it unless they took it during the time period that it was approved. Likewise, if the class already got removed from the list and they took it after that time, we can't count it in that situation either. But Pam's going to go into that more in her section. For us, at the bottom of the form, convert all of the units into semester units. That way, we just have uniformity. Sometimes in certain situations, you might be converting everything to quarter units when you're talking to a student about their transfer process. But to keep us all on the same page, let's make sure we're all just using semester. Another reminder is that only accepts a 32-unit maximum of credits from non-traditional means. So that means military service credit, exams like AP, PLEP, IB, and so forth, and also our own credit by exam. So if you're not familiar with our own credit by exam policy, look it up in the catalog and read through it. So if they get credits by exam, finally, on the official transcript, if the student gives you the official transcript, I learned this from Lisa, so thank you. Please only put the name, the ID, your initials, and the date. Don't write anything else on the official transcript. You can make a copy and do whatever you want, but the one that should scan in the system, you want to make sure they stay clean and legible. So if you go over to the second page, my final piece here, and so for those of you online, I really apologize because I meant to send out this handout to you online before the meeting, and I didn't. So the second page here are the accrediting agencies. So we use the accrediting agencies that are active and approved by the U.S. Department of Education. You see the little link there. So these are the regional accrediting agencies that we will accept credit from, the institutions that they accredit. And then down here are the former agencies. So every once in a while, you'll run into a student transcript where you're not seeing this accrediting agency because it was accredited under a different name at that time, but it was still active and valid during that time frame. So I just wanted you to see the former names that are on there, and they're pretty much the same agencies. They just have tweaked their names for whatever.
So if the school has lost their accreditation now, but they were accredited active student course, we can use it.
That's a really good point. So I'll reiterate it so everybody on the line can hear us, although I think they can hear it too. So if a student took, you have to look at the dates that the institution was accredited. And so if they were accredited from 1950 to 1982, and the students took the coursework during that time when they had regional accreditation, but then later the institution wasn't regionally accredited anymore, we can use that.
So one of the things I caught too is, does everybody know how to convert a quarter to the semester unit? No. How do you do that? Answer that question.
Multiply by 1.5 for
So quarter, you divide it by 1.5 to do your semester system. You won't have to convert quarter for the exception of I guess. So if I get see whatever works for that student, if it is quarter, give them the quarter units. Most of the UCs are on quarter system. So then you multiply the semester like quarter units. So you have a 56 semester, 9, because they multiply it out. That's how you convert it. You probably see a lot more out-of-state transcripts that have
but I had a chart say quarter. So, yeah.
So you might see version that has an requirement, but it's 2 units. 2 quarter units. So convert it, go lower, what is that, 1 system? Yeah, so we have discussed when that happens. That category. I just saw a student who has a transcript from university, and all her courses said 1 unit. So I'm like, what? So I called Admissions and Records, and on the legend on the back side, for some reason when we scanned it, it smeared the bottom, and it said one unit equals 4 semesters. So when I called them, the guy, oh, think of it this way: 4 quarters equals $1. So he broke it down. So in my doing it, I wrote it all, copied that for 1 unit equals 4 semesters, 0.25 equals this, 0.5 equals that. Because if you back through, pull up that student's transcript, I just kept it on the copy piece of it. The legends, you know, sometimes we were coming in asking questions. I'm like, what is the legends? Because the legend is very important too, because it'll also tell you when they converted their numbering system. So some people, some counselors are like, hey, this number changed, what was this? So when you open up to the legends that are in this website here, and I'll go to ours, and ours will show you when we converted in 2003 the 3-number system.
Yeah, we're just trying to get this document out to the people who
Oh,
are
okay.
here.
So yeah, they're just putting it.
Okay, so yesterday I saw a student who went to Citrus College in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I looked at the legend and it said 100 or higher to be applicable. That's all be applicable. So what does that mean? So then as I was reviewing course by course, their elementary algebra had everything. She had some below 100, but some 100 or higher, but not all the 100 or highers were transferable. So like elementary algebra was like math 105, and then intermediate algebra was math 115. However, I'm like, let me double check. So and those aren't transferable. So even though it looked like in my head, because I 800 or higher, I'm like, okay, this kind of it wasn't, and there was about 3 that I could have assumed that, but in looking at the title, I was skeptical. but also kind of sometimes, and the other person, because we had that one a while back, the one in Palmdale. Thank you, Antelope Valley has some of those too, where they look transferable, but they make really checks and balances, because when we counted that class, it really, we screwed the student up, you know, we thought, and then it was like, no, it doesn't. It's like, but it's 100 or higher, but it wasn't. It was just by sight. We thought, yeah, it is. Yeah. By reality, after researching, it was not. So it's kind of like, so some colleges that a degree applicable was very tricky.
So
yeah.
Just as a comment, like Barstow uses 100. So yeah, 1 through 49 level at Barstow. So keep that in mind, because 1 through 49 transfers. We do things backwards in a sense, and then anything 50 to 90 applicable, 100 and above doesn't go anywhere. So there you go. So we do things backwards.
Now they do.
They do things backwards.
I was thinking a little bit about
Yeah.
how I have been involved in transcript. In my former life, I was an outreach recruiter for Cal State San Bernardino. Guaranteed admission contracts for all our transcripts. So we evaluate all the transcripts, put them on the guaranteed admission contract, show what was transferable, what was not transferable. So that's how I got a little more reading the legends, because I was Chafee, you know, a very popular campus in the IE, and students were coming from Mount Sac, transcripts from all over. So we had to look at out of state, everything. So that's how I got a little more skill in this. So I know people would get a little bit anxious, and I'm not anxious because there's key things you have to look at. So on the associate's degree, the most important thing you want to look at too on legends, when the prefix changed, and then college source helps you do that too. So you're going to look in college source in the college catalogs, especially in that catalog year. So always refer to college source. Also, if the legend on the transcript doesn't help you, it's usually people So that's.
Can I pause you real quick? Those of you who are joining us online, which is, I think, just Manny, was online with us, the email that we just sent to you, document, came from Brian Peters, not from my email.
Okay, so on this next page, I have student complete requests for evaluation transcript. We just kind of blow that one all the way through. View the transcript legends for course numbering system and prefix change. Oh. Yeah. So right here, transcript legends. And so you notice there's CSU and UC. Even though I clicked on CC, still popped up for their legend. So I'm just going to go to UC. So when other campuses are looking at UC, this is what we have. The numbering system was in 2003. They say it was that old. I was hearing that. It was not fun, but it happened. And then in effective, there is a few changes. Okay, so you always hope that other just that cut and Olivia, Lorena said, and historically, City College has always had nightmare transcripts. Way back even Cal State days, they never had a concise legend. I think now they're even have it where it says CSU. Make sure always when you're looking at you look on that right side, or they put it on the left side, if it says NDA, non-degree applicable, we're not counting those units for the overall. Not count NDA because it's non-degree applicable. If that CC is not used, it says AA, or if they say AA/AS, it's only going towards the associate's degree. If it says CSU, it's only going to CSU, but if it says CSU/UC, it's counting for both universities. Okay.
They're saying online that they can't.
What? I don't have on mine. Okay. What did you miss, Manny? Type it. Oh, Lyman, what'd you miss, Lyman?
What's that?
What did you miss? What'd you miss?
Oh, I just text or I emailed Brian to I can hear you, but it's if we get the microphone closer to you, and then have the Zoom people online mute their microphones.
Okay. So what did you miss though? What were you?
Oh no, I'm following along.
Okay. So, and then we already discussed converting the quarter units to semester units. What works for what you're looking on that external transcript. Okay.
I'm sorry, I was, get that sent out. Jackie, you had a resource that we could add for that. I'll email you for it.
So one of the school districts that does a really good job, my favorite schools are Mount Sac. Mount Sac puts it all out there. CSU DEs, they tell you exactly the area, exactly where to go with that. LA County school districts have a really good system too. They list all on their CSU, DEs, etc. So those are good. San Marino Valley and Crafton Hills has a really good strong one, and so does RCC, Valley and Marco. They have really legend. But I'm going to go to Citrus. Citrus. But we were, Lorena was saying, course numbering system, fall 1995 to present, 100 or higher, degree applicable. Then it says 99 and below, non-degree applicable. So, but it still doesn't tell you what's transferable and what's associate degree applicable. So you may have to go in the catalog, go college source, and look under in their language, in their catalog, it would tell you the issue numbering system. So the catalogs are always resourceful, will always tell you what those numbering systems look like. So you don't have any doubt. Obviously, not everyone has a perfect system, but college source is really helpful looking in the catalog. Legend is not clarifying. One of the things too, so it tells you exactly off on Citrus's transcripts, it gives you an explanation of their codes. So they have like the CLEPS or CL, Advanced AP, Academic Review, AR. So what I don't know, and I'm going to ask this questions to the evaluators, is this a standard format for all CCs to have on their transcripts, or is it based on individual campuses?
Based on individual. I mean, we have some of those codes, like we do, I believe have CX. We have the AR for academic renewal, or R supports repeats. Like we don't put military credit, the honors program, that's denoted in course description. But if I, AP, I don't know that it. Something like that.
So our transcripts do not list AP courses that we give them credit for. So say, for example,
it'll say, I think it'll list them at the top of this transcript. Transfer.
Okay. So just if a student brought in AP calculus, and it won't say on our transcript that we're getting in credit for our AP calculus, like the first math.
Most of them say AP something, not all of them do though.
Okay.
But they're listed above as a transfer. Yeah, I don't know how we'll go.
Maybe that's something that we might want to review our legends, because we're thinking about how it works for us. But think about other colleges that are looking at us too, and how we grow here on how we list our transcripts too. I don't know if that's a
You have to look
discussion.
at an official transcript and see what we have
How,
on there
right,
versus what's on our
right,
paper,
and how we,
the piece of paper for our legend, and check the credit.
right. We can look at other transcripts too on how they list their AP credit. How does Barstow list their AP credit, Lilia?
They'll just put AP.
But they don't equate it to the credit that they get.
I believe we don't. I think we just give them the credit, right?
Mhm.
I have to double check though.
Okay, have you seen, Jackie? No, it's not AP differently. Okay. So let's go to the next page. What I want to bring, next page, we're gonna look at ADT and CID. Yeah. So coursework, career college, private, and out of state. We're gonna hold off on that. Let's go into the ADTs real quick.
Oh, they're under there, under general education patterns.
Oh, here it is. So when you're looking at placing what we call pass alongs, remember we all know how to pass along whatever the previous CC courses on our pass along. So it's actually cited in the CSU, an executive order. That's what we do as community colleges. Go and tell that, research it on the site. So here, I'm going to show, Cerritos has awesome ones, right, Lorena?
Awesome what?
Sheets.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I think this is taking to the website. We don't want to do that. There we go. Some of them you click on and it just opens up the GE page. It doesn't take you to another link, So we'll look up issue here. See, they have 80, IP, all of that in here too. There's, which this is actually a page in our catalog as well. They use it, applying it when they do their. No, I want to go to show the CSUG.
They're down there, playing.
So it just gives you the executive order. They put the executive order for their placement of their exams. In there. No, I want to get out of Cerritos.
here's their pattern, here's Barstow. What it'll look like, it won't be like in a different document, it'll be the same, whatever they have in their catalog. So then, some, I can't remember who I went to yesterday, but it had all the years. It had all the years of their pattern. So you wouldn't have to go and look in college stores, dig up that year, that pattern. Because you're seeing a course that came in 2009 or 2010, where was it at that time? A lot of counselors who have put Psychology 101 in Area E. A Psychology in Area E doesn't go there. Barstow College is Area E. You have to leave it in Area D. Not always our other health, long life learning course, health one, like ours is health 102, are not in Area E. So you have to be very conscientious of where they place that course. Those are kind of the common ones that I see too, especially when it comes to Area E. RCC, I think, have a site in Area E. They have their health 10 or something in Area E. Did they put the dates? Because I haven't gotten the system.
I'll just show everything.
I haven't done. Good, bro.
Heyo.
Where's your hat? I used to see your hat.
Lorena, question one, and Lisa mentioned two. So if we had on this sheet, have AP from another, they've given X number of credits, but when we post it here, we're only going to post it based on what we, I think, like CSU, the guy wants to go to CSU Sacramento, and that's what we need to.
Right, a good, for instance, is a student had taken AP, got a score of 3 for psych. She went to CSU, you know, they gave her credit for taking psych 101. When she came to us, couldn't give her credit for psych 101. Scores 4 or 3.
So on our page in the catalog, it has those numbers too. I think, yeah, psych is the only one that will not change the number.
And we also have to have the official
Everyone else
AP
is
scores.
approved,
We can't paste it on another college or high school transcript either. We have to have the college board AP score.
And we're gonna do a section of about EP, it's gonna be a different section. So because assist is fun now, some counselors have asked how to see the dates. So, for example, there was a student who took classes in 17-18 at L.A. Pierce College. And it's down here where you can see CSU, GE, IGETC, all those types of things. So if you click on view transferability list, what I found out from a few of the other counselors is they got stuck here. They're like, okay, well, like I clicked on it, where is it? What you have to do is click by department. I have just been clicking on all departments because what happens is if you click a particular department, it brings up all departments anyway. So I've just learned that it's not perfect yet. So if you view the course list, then you can see the courses and what GE area they've been approved for over here in this area and when they got approved. And then you can see classes that were approved at some point but then got removed. And this list will show it by department alphabetically. So if you're looking for a particular course, it's like that. You can also change it right here and put CSU GE area. And again, if you click on an area, it's not going to do that. It's just going to give you all of them. But at least that helps you to see it by area. So then you can see what they count in area A1, A2, and so forth. But these dates is what Pam was talking about too. That's how you have to, you can look at their GE sheets from their website and see if it was on the sheet or not, but it's also in assist here. And that's how you find it.
So make sure you're checking when it was on the list and when it was removed. Because if a transfer comes to you and it was removed and they're wanting to use it now, it won't work. Because it has to be time frame in which they took it. So what will happen, certify them. We'll get back, or the student transfers to university and the certification is wrong. Now they're going to tell the student to leave this course or in that area. So be very mindful of it. So I'm going to go to one of the sciences. So on the ABTs, so we're gonna look at, I didn't see the ABTs here.
Yeah, the degrees for transfer.
Examples that, we ran up, at BBC. This page right here. So when you see our template, this has been updated. Templates have been updated since 14. The templates came in 2011, 2014, and so on. The templates, staff have to revise their template. Some colleges haven't revised their template yet. For example, it was Barstow's, right?
No, yeah, Barstow and G. You can keep it or like all the Barstow didn't really take you to it, so go to G. Barstow, their website you still have.
Okay, so when you look at their degree, see how it's structured differently versus the core? I wish you could put it side by side. But we have a core and they don't have a core. The one course that we're looking at is the biopsych. See where that's here in Barstow's. But in BBC's, it's here in list A. So Barstow doesn't have a list A or a B or C because they have possibly haven't updated it to the template. So bc4co.edu also has all the updated templates. So whatever faculty are going to update their I'll use Soch for an example. He updated his template way different than 2011. So he had to, that's why you see the one on our site. He updated with the new site to be teen. It has or in our sociology. So he hired way more work than he was. So back in the day, all we had to do was show articulation agreements. And for those courses to meet the template. Now you have a CID number. You have to show where the RMSC should be read. If you're using courses that are outside of the discipline, but they are articulated in the discipline, you have to show the articulation things now for those courses. So let's say sociology used citing. We have to show, or I have to go look for the articulation for that and that's articulated in the social major. Pull all that information. So that is how they're changing. They have changed. So you want to pass along. So even though their template isn't set up like our template, you still pass along that course in the template. So remember, the spirit of the bill of SB 1440 is to not have students take additional coursework. If it's in the template at Antelope Valley, it's in the template at Fresno City College, you have to use it in that template. There's a statement in the CID when you go into documents under CID, and it'll say reciprocity. There's a reciprocity document there that we are required to use everyone else's courses. Yeah, I was going to go in there.
I have a question. ESTs. So, like, we were changing courses around, like, in our site. We went from Math 120 and over to Site 215. When people or other colleges are updating it, are they putting old templates in so we know that maybe a class they took at the time was in the ADT, but it's not listed anymore? Do we not give them pass along then if it's been removed from the
What I don't know, and I can ask if the old is stored somewhere when they do an update, but most likely you're going to go back to college for catalog for that year.
But if it was
the catalog has to be
okay, but if it was still listed in that year, we can use it as pass along.
right.
Or they took it.
Right. So here's the CID site. So the login, there's only one login per campus for AO. So I am the one who has this login, but you all can still look at these resources here. Okay, so it's cid.net. So you can look at descriptors, you can look at the TMCs, and this TMC right here takes you to the Chancellor's Office website where the templates are accessible to everyone. So when you go to cid.net, everyone has access to those resources there. The login is where I have to do all the submission for every course. It's c-id.net. So here's all the templates that all the community colleges doing. So we're getting there, and not. I'll give you an example. One that we probably won't do is journalism, because we don't have a journalism major or have a lot of journalism faculty. So this is probably a major that's going to go to the wayside. We're probably not going to take that, but there's other ones that we can do in here that we're working on. So I know biology is in motion trying to get all of their courses listed for the CID. So here to biology. See the dates on the outside, that's when they were updated. So when faculty are going in to update their template, they have to pull from this. We've had faculty that use the same template and it looks different. We can that it needs to be updated on a new template, because on the templates when they submit it to curriculum, it's up on the right hand side. Here's the template, and it tells the faculty what they need to do, submit. Here on this, all of our biology courses have been approved. So that's a good thing. However, there's courses outside of biology in different disciplines. We all know when you're a bio, here, we have all types of calculus, chemistry. So here, all of our classes here and submitted. So biology, all they need to do is just form, put the courses in there and work out the numbers, etc. So I had talked to Lisa Harvey, Melvin, we've been emailing back and forth, we're ready to go. She just needs to work with her department. So the CID is a common ID number. Common ID number meaning that when bio 150, I think that's our bio 190 or 140. When other campus courses come in and they have that CID number, you see it on the transcript, it means it's the same course. Years ago, it was called CAN. It's called the Common Articulation Number, and that went away. Money got lost, and then there was the CID. So the CID number, if the course doesn't have a CID number, which some might not, you can always look again at where does it match? Where is it in the GE pattern? Because a course cannot be put on a template unless it has to be approved. So that's the only way the course can work on the ADT. It has to have a CID number.
And let me ask you a question. I want to piggyback on Mel's question. So let's say we have a student that's taking 6 years to complete their psychology. And now they're going to be using the ADT, but when they started, they took math 120. Okay, but at the school that they want to go to, in the present, it says it's literally saying Psych 215. What do we do with this if that student is taking the course somewhere else and it ended up being math statistics? And then what do we say to that student? Do they need to go ahead and do another staff because they're trying to get into that school now in the future?
So they took our math 120.
Yeah, let's do that with question 1.
Okay, so they took our math 120 and they're making it right under the 6-year. You can use it because it's in that, they have catalog rights to that degree. Okay. Part of that.
Okay. All right, so then now the ADT has changed. Now it's 215. That we needs to be, but because on the ADT back when the student took it, 120 was on it, so it works. But university that student wants to go to now, 5 years later, requiring an unassessed, the pre-major only psych.
The evaluators at the university are going to look at where it was in that catalog year. They do the same thing what we're doing. We are doing the same thing as what the university evaluators are doing. They go to assist, they look at the currency of our courses, where they're placed, when they were removed, et cetera, et cetera. Prefix, course numbering system, they do the same thing. So when you're looking at that student and they're like, no, I'm finishing up this year, I'm going to transfer to Cal State San Bernardino, and we award that degree, honored when they get to university. Okay. So remember, we are doing the same thing as what the university evaluators are doing. So everybody understands CID, what it has to do with schedule. Did I close it? Oh, you did? That's okay. Okay.
Want to go back to
So everybody understand TMC, associate degree for transfer. TMC means transfer model curriculum. That is the template that overall for ADT. These are all the TMC that the chancellor's office has put forth. So one more thing before I get your question. So in order for us to be approved for a CID number, the CC faculty and the CSU faculty, you are course descriptor after I submit the course outline of record. So course outline of records have to be updated in that 5-year time. I did a course outline of record from 2012. Outdated. Okay. But we did not, I'm not going to do that. So in order for it to get on that CID, to get on that template, approval has to take place first. There is a 45-day wait time. We have classes in there that have been in there a year. We're waiting. So there's a holdup, there's a bottleneck, it's drama. But as long as it's been in there, we can forward that degree to the chancellor's office and they bless it. The question is, what happens if the course gets denied, even though the chancellor's office already approved the template? So it's approved, the faculty have to update accordingly. Usually they'll do a conditional approval and then they have to add in this, that, and the other. Go ahead.
Can you pull up your AAT psychology that's next to it?
BDCs?
Yeah. Okay. So, so correct me if I am, but when our instructors are building their models or templates, they may not follow what the state has in place. So psychology is what I struggled with at first, but it can be helpful to me in it. So somebody else took biology at another school, and in their template, they had biology in sight. So that happens a lot. So just something to be mindful of. Because I always mess up and had them do biology.
And that's why the CCC paper page that Pam was showing that shows all the ADTs is such a helpful source. Some of them, they don't set it up well, you still have to find the ADTs on their page, but most of them take you right to it, like how the Renaissance Shore has ours, and right away you see where the courses are.
And some of those, as you saw, we went to the other CC's template, and it's just a catalog page. But I like how Lorena has ours set up on our website, so you can just go right into the link and then it pops up just perfectly like this.
Yeah, Lorena. I'll try with right now.
Can we just say that one more time, Jackie?
So
I think I totally understood you, but I want to make sure that everybody gets that really clearly.
So sometimes our faculty don't always follow the template that's online. So in here, we could actually have in our Psych ADT, we could have bio or bio 100 or Psych 109, but our faculty developed it just for their course. So my point was, at other schools, they may have more courses in their template than we do. So somebody took bio at another school and it was in their template, so I was able to pass along in their bio 100 and use it in our template or for their degree.
So here's the template, we showed you the template. And so ours is very similar to the template. We try to advise the faculty to make sure we follow this template. But other faculty, other campuses rearrange it differently. I'm not sure why. I think because it's the older template. The older template hasn't been revised. So every department, it's a Title V policy that all majors should update every 5 years. So some of those templates that you're seeing that aren't math, they probably haven't updated their major. So it's been there since 2011 or 2010, I mean, 2014, whatever, they haven't been updated. So don't freak out, okay, because it's not matching, line for line. But as long as that course is in the template on their ADT pattern, we have to pass it along to us for graduation. Okay?
Pam, who's keeping record in terms of when it's coming up that 5-year cycle? Would that be instruction?
Yeah, Reba and I, that was our task for this summer, is we want to do a spreadsheet of all the ADTs and when they need to be filed, because nobody's keeping track of that. And the only way that I get notification is when CID would send a notification saying these are up for review. And I forward them to the faculty, and then that's where it goes.
So that doesn't happen anymore?
No, because the CID side, when they went to new software, I stopped getting notifications. So that was a thing I took, whoever's on the Senate, we were at a meeting one time, everybody goes, I only 40% of my job, and I need those notifications. I can't spend every minute of my day going in and looking at courses, because they would send you notifications saying the course is approved conditionally, it's denied, or it's approved. And then those notifications would come in and say, these are the disciplines that are up for review. Now, those have stopped being populated in my email. So, but the departments know that their major should be updated every 5 years.
So that's an institutional process now as opposed to
Waiting, right, we should have some process.
And that's across all 114 colleges.
They're
You're not getting,
yeah, but what I don't, well, let's use MSJC. I mean, Modesto, they had a grid that they had all of the courses that were updated, all the majors that are updated, so that went to curriculum. Curriculum knew, okay, send out whatever notification they did and tell this department, you need to update your business, okay? Well, we don't have an internal process like that here. We don't have anything that alerts you to update your courses. The CTE side of the house, that's not a problem, because they're 2 years. They have to have it every 2 years updated.
So there's no software, anything that you're public with them?
I don't know. I'm not on the meta team, she's on the meta team.
So we don't have anything in place.
It doesn't have to be that complicated.
No, it
Right, right.
It could just be an Excel document.
Yeah, right. So, and that was
take
kind of,
ownership of it. Responsibility from instruction, so that would be Eval, contract.
it's the ownership of Office of Instruction to
So
inform their faculty and departments when those are up to
the reason why I'm asking is now that we have Trish in place as the dean, then that's something I can talk to her so that that can get generated and start happening, right? Yeah.
Okay, we done with this? Everybody have ADT, CID?
That was under references, or no, resources and whatnot.
Yeah. When you went into the cctransfer.org, that when I open my browser, that's the first thing I open up to. It used to be Assist. Now it's transfer until Assist gets cleaned up a little bit better. But then you go into
Which one are you asking for? Yeah.
That, just like, yeah, all the templates, and I know that it was really cute.
see right here, right? So
She's not asking for the actual ADT, she's asking for the templates. From the
Yeah,
CID.
from the CA, I guess, CA.
oh, from the CID.
Templates are general, and then these ones are for the specific.
Yeah. Yeah, from CA.
You can get it from CID, or you just type in forco.edu, look under instruction, yeah. Transfer model curriculum, and that takes you right to the transfer model. Oh,
And the templates are on it too, right, Belinda?
Right here, resources. So if you're looking for any, like, one of the things I pulled up here. So you're seeing a lot of these come in with AB 705. We don't have these, but some CCs do. One here and explains what that's happening. That's the description there. So it gives a descriptor for faculty if they want to create those Math 50X courses. 50X is just the CID identifier, but if we had like, we wanted to put our math, I don't know if this is college algebra, I'm looking at other stuff, but it's like math 81. They wanted to get this CID descriptor because it's non-transferable. The other,
Okay, tired of looking at that guy.
oh, I smile, but. So right here, where is it? There was a document here about reciprocity. It was kind of like all by itself.
That reciprocity document is in our council folder.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So I don't need to put it in there. Okay, never mind. I was gonna go to it, but it's in our council folder.
Basically says we need to do what we were just discussing. The other school use ours. We don't have that.
Any questions on that whole process? Anything that pops up for you? Any newbies here that are like, this class? She's like, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah.
Where do you use it in? Is my question. If you're using it in our, where do you place it?
What do you mean?
If you're saying that the reciprocity process is that you use the course from their school, our template?
Right. So when you're working up an educational plan and you're wanting to use the courses there or on the external dot, you're putting the course where it says ADT on that external transcript, you're putting that course in that ADT major.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where you would use that. Okay. But, you know, email or call. Yeah. So, while she's showing that. So so let's say other classes, ADT, so site came from Chafee, or the site, the statistics came from Antelope Valley. You want to maybe put a little, so she has Chafee, Barstow, and Barstow there, where she took those 3 classes. They're applying it to the ADT because the ADT is checked off.
And the reason I made the example like this is for what Jackie was talking about, because I wouldn't put biology at whatever college is the same as our biology 100, like I did for Site 1 from Chafee. I would put the biology their school we count it under our area A or our area B. We don't have that course in our major. But I think that that's clear where we're counting.
So let's move on to community
Yeah, real quick, that CBB, that what, JP Barstow?
Yeah.
So they all know that? Does everybody know that in parentheses? The C, the B, the B, that stands for?
So, like Harry had one, and he didn't use the titles. He just used 1 next to the courses where they were. 2 was the second transcript. 3 was the third transcript.
Why do you have to be I guess what I'm saying
It's easy
is,
for us to follow.
I just want us to
We
be
got it.
consistent, okay? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, so however you could, because I know on our old transcripts, that's what I would do. Especially if some people came in with 4 transcripts, I would put star equals this school, triangle equals 0. Because sometimes there'd be like 8 transcripts, and we only have like 5 little lines on the old ed plan, you know, so whatever legend you create, that it's clear to the other counselors.
Right.
So I think that's one of the most important things about this, is that, you know, students counselor talk. So we explain on our ed plans enough that other counselors can read, oh, well, you have this, because you know they try to say, well, she said this and I said that, and you're like, well, in the ed plan, you discussed this. So that's why, you know, CYA.
So if we have one that has more than 3, should we keep it on one sheet and then start with like a 4 and a 5 or something?
I would want so.
I would do 1, 2 pages.
Page 2.
Yeah.
Page two
Do a
would be
page
better.
two.
Well, and then we can label it page 1 up to. that
Well,
way
I'm
we
just
know-
thinking because only the first page would have the classes on it,
Yeah.
because you would only use page 2 for the colleges, so that's why I'm saying maybe if we just added up, if you had to, you could add it up on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or an over with an arrow on the back.
Yeah, but one of the most important things is to remember too, that the courses that students take, they never exhaust, they don't just go away. And students say, well, I took this in 1978, now that F's still there. That never goes away. It's still calculated into your overall GPA, you just can't use the course for any kind of credit. But so the courses are always there, so students always need that, know it'll go away. I don't want to use this class, you don't have to. We're using it. So, courses from community college and community and career colleges. So let's talk about the one that's in our neighborhood right now. Which one is that? It's JVC. Okay, so that's a private community college. Cost of ribbon money.
It lost its visual.
Oh, it did.
I did not know that. I don't know, but I sent Chris from Cal State San Bernardino. This student, has these classes, and he said, unfortunately, they're not regionally accredited. And I was like, what? Because we have that list that
Of
says
courses
of
we're
SJVC classes that have been approved for CSU GE. And then, so then it caused me to go look, because I wasn't in the habit of looking up their accreditation status.
Yeah.
So apparently.
But that's something that we usually get some sort of notification so that we all know. So I'm just kind of curious.
Well, they're not gonna tell us they lost their credit.
No, but someone finds out and they announce that and then they let us.
Yeah.
So I'll look.
But anyway,
You guys figured out that?
Yeah.
So SJVC, we don't use anymore.
Yeah, we would, but if we took classes way back when, we could still use it in the accreditation time.
Right, they just lost their accreditation, I said we hear 18, 19. Pre that, we will use their courses. Right. So key thing again, college stores, look at the accreditation, look on the transcript, look at each one of our accreditations that we listed in our handout. Look at when they took the courses. Key thing when they on their courses, when you go to college stores, I always go to their general ed pattern because they're passing it along. Go into the university, community college, career, whatever pattern. If they have a humanities course and it says Human 1 and it's in humanities, we're going to use it in our category 3. Look up the accreditation. Go ahead. Yeah, so she's going to show you how to look up accreditation and what it looks like in the college stores, but also on the back on the transcript, it'll say everyone's transcripts will have an accreditation. That is the stamp. If it's missing, what do do this on the.
Are there plans for BBC to get full-time evaluators?
Yeah.
So, just so that you all know, we're working on the HSI grant, the Hispanic Serving Institution. And in that grant, I asked for them to help us. So right now, within the grant writing, we're asking 50% HSI and then to the general fund. So that's where we're at with that. I did talk to Karen about having another evaluator, so she's all for it. And taking it to the cabinet and waiting for their approval.
They're gonna do a new job description or just put it as a specialist?
No, at this point, just as a specialist, until we get settled in with the UDP, then we can go back and change that.
Did you say settle with the UDP?
Well, she's on vacation. She just started with it. She was.
The HR already. So one of the things too with the out of state is we're seeing more of those who come in out of state. Always look at the units, how they transfer, how they use the example of Duke University. That was a crazy one. I haven't seen it. I was like, Coach K, what are you doing? So look at the units, look at if they have A minus, B minus, C minus, we don't count minus or pluses. It's a straight letter grade. Straight letter grade. We don't use minus or pluses. Look at in which the year they took their courses, if they were valid on their ed plan, on their catalog. So let's say the students came in and they took a class from 2010. And that's valid there, but it doesn't show up on their catalog in 2017 out of state. You can still use it because it's valid at the time they took it, but if you reverse, you can't use it. So always to the course, you have to stay with the current year on courses.
Okay, so when you're on college source, not logged in, just regular college source, you can put in the school. And hit search. Brings them in, so we'll look at our Hesperia one. This little building right here, that's where you look up the information. And that's where it shows you the accreditation information.
How much they update it now?
I don't know. Usually it will say, like, the accreditation was from this period to this period. So let's look at a different example.
I would say on their website, they say they're still accredited.
But they could be nationally accredited, just not regionally accredited.
She said regionals.
So normally, the school is accredited, like us, it looks like that right there. See how it says our accreditor is WASC since this time? That's what you look for when we say look for it, to make sure the school is regionally accredited, and it has to be one of the ones on the first page.
What does it say where it ends, when it ended?
It says like, it's like an open end date, but if it did end, it usually is over here, it's kind of covered. I don't know if you
Right, did you ever hear anything from San Joaquin? Know anything?
No, that's just 2 weeks.
Was that just?
But is it just San Joaquin?
It was
Hesperia or San Joaquin?
Oh,
institution.
This
Institution.
is spring.
No.
But only the Hesperia San Joaquin? Or is it the whole institution?
The Hesperia, I was asking specifically.
This is when they're going to go up for review in 2024.
So they still have time.
This is us.
This is BBC.
Thanks for that update, Dan.
You should be retired by now. So, for your institution, published, private, and out of state. So we looked at CCs, out of state, now we're looking at universities on the next page. So, always look for the prefix changes, the accreditation, calculate lower division applicable units. Okay, so make sure that the units you're calculating are degree applicable, meaning that sometimes there's a change in the CSU system when they stopped teaching math and English. And they assessed into, and if they didn't finish that course, they got kicked back to the CCs, finish their English and math. And so those courses aren't transferable. Those transferable they're not degree applicable. And they'll just have units. They'll just have units that'll have like XXX, sometimes on the transcript won't have any points or value to the course. Okay. Research the coursework or pass along for associates, gen ed, CSU, IGETC. Observe the year again, and then convert the core units to semester units. On the university side, if you have upper division units there, we do not use the units for us, but we will use the subject requirement. So let's say, for example, you bring in 40-something units, so they have 10 upper division units. And one of those upper division units happens to be a humanities course, and our students take this humanities course. We can use that for subject, but not unit to meet the 60. Okay, so that's allowable. We're allowed to use that. Title 5 allowable. But we don't use the calculated units. You're saying, oh, they met humanity, teaching off, but no units. So that means they still need to use something to use for the 60 units. Okay? Any questions on that?
Well, and that would, if it's a local one too, they would be short.
So we could have something else in that area.
Can you talk about that, like the counting of the, for the general ed for the CSU and I guess he's like, if we are pulling over something from Cal State, 7 units, we need another class to run with it to equal or total that.
So on our general ed pattern, it says 21 units. So remember the GEs have to add up to 21 units. Now the category from an out-of-state school, they took 240 units and it converts to ours 1.5 or whatever it is. You need to add another course in them. They have to meet the minimum of 3 units in that GE section. So always be mindful of that. And it's okay to add another course in there. Is they're meeting those total units for graduation, they're meeting the total units for the GE area as well. So it's okay to add them. Yes, Corey.
No, that's a stretch.
That's just
That's a
I
stretch.
wanted you to add their knowledge.
That's a stretch.
Right, so say that they got the 2.67 and it says they need 3, but they only got the 2.67, but if you count up the full, then they are still okay.
Okay. So the overall is 21, but if it doesn't overall, then you gotta add in some extra courses there. Okay. One of the things that, in this, one of the things that real is, we've been reviewing course descriptions. So I had a transcript reviewing, and it didn't have research in the composition. The course was English composition. But in the language of the course description, it didn't list any research. It said, covering standard grammar, citation, but it didn't have research in there. So always look at all the sequence of the English courses, because in that one, they wouldn't have worked for us. It wouldn't have been CSUGE. There was a second level course that had a research requirement, critical thinking, analysis, et cetera, in that course description. That one worked because it had 2 prerequisites to get into that class. So this was basically kind of like our English 6. The other second one was like our English 50. And then those 2 needed to. So don't assume that English, because it has reading, it says English composition, or writing, what's another word? Writing, expository writing. It's not always going to be English composition. Carrie just brought up a good one. And I'm going to read this one to you. This is composition 2. Carrie, not you.
Short. You know we look alike.
About the same height. So intensive study of and in practice in the strategies and techniques developed in research-based, expository, and persuasive text. Emphasis on effective and ethical rhetorical inquiry, including primary and secondary research methods. Critical reading of verbal, visual, media text. Evaluation, synthesis, and documentation of information sources, and critical thinking about evidence and conclusion. What would you use that for?
Oh, you know, right. I would even right. So here's their course description. What is this?
Read the first sentence.
Intensive study of and practice in the strategy developing research-based expository and persuasive text.
The first question is, does it have a prerequisite?
Right. So there's not a prereq on this.
No prereq?
No prereq. So I would go to this Texas State Tarrant County College District. I would go in and look at where it is in their GE pattern. And then if they used it in their expository writing, that's what it is. It's expository writing, English, our comprehension. Use it in critical thinking. Did you use that? Yeah, there's a lot of critical thinking stuff on this. That's why I wondered if it's periodic. So remember on the CSU, I mean, on the Etsy, for our critical thinking, the prerequisite has to be English in order to fly on the Etsy. So it doesn't have a prerequisite, if I most likely would use it on the English composition side, an area 1A or A2. So those are some things that you're like, shoot, you know. So those are one of those like course to course kind of review, and I'm very comfortable saying in our CC system, Cal State, UC, those aren't too hard to evaluate because we already have our research. But it's when it's out of state that becomes very tricky.
And Pam will give you that. Karen?
He did.
One you.
I was gonna say too, even if you're new, don't be afraid to ask somebody or feedback off. I am in Pam's office or even Loretta, like, do this, because this is what I'm thinking, and we've done it for a while. So if you're new and you're worried, don't be worried about asking someone. We all still ask, because we're all like, this is confusing.
So even if you're not new, because it's like sometimes you just forget about all
Yeah.
this stuff. And
There's so many layers. There's so many layers.
I just wanted to point out, don't be hesitant to ask.
So I think, yeah, so as it would turn out, there is a course right before that in county community college systems. There, that was 1302, it was 1301 is almost an identical RE 101. Look at it. The issue really comes in when you figure out, do I pass along this for a critical thinking class, particularly if it's a UC? You've got to be really, really, really careful.
Because they look at what we look at in college stuff.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at the same thing. They just have a prerequisite in English. They may not take it.
Because of that, they probably would.
Right. Or they'll say, oh, this is a technical writing course.
she has a question.
You touched on it briefly with the minuses. If you could talk about how C minuses impact the golden four.
The C minuses
On CCG.
or GE, from there, we can use those in the past.
I have a list somewhere of some schools that
Will not take the CC. For some UCs, some they won't, so we have to look at that, make a note. That list.
And
Do
there's
you
an
have that
executive
list?
order to.
Yeah, if you have that list, then if you want to find it and then forward it to put in accountable. Because I know it varies. Yeah. My understanding on the CSU GE breath is that the GE breath has to also be a 2.0. So those C minuses bring it down.
Yeah, like it's
Point out to have a 2.0.
Okay, so thanks for hanging in there with us. We have like 30 minutes left. I'm gonna try to go a little quickly through mine. Because Pam has one more when we are done. All right, so this one, to be honest, I'm totally not an expert in, but it was the one I got assigned. So I did as much research as I could, but this is one of those ones where we pulled together all of our information. So I got together what I could find. And also, just as a side note, in Council Pool, any PowerPoints or trainings or research that I found while I was researching stuff, I was trying to fill them in Council Pool under that file folder so we could go back and look at them. So we accept foreign transcript evaluations from the approved agencies, the agencies that are approved by the Commission for Foreign Transcript Evaluations. If you have the link there, if you want to look at that. And so at BBC, we rely on those foreign transcript agencies to review the coursework, tell us what subject areas it is and how many units it should be worth, because we don't have international evaluators here. But when the students go to the university, typically the universities have their own special international evaluators. So they're not gonna take this evaluation that this student had to pay for with us, unfortunately. It's gonna get evaluated differently and in their own way. So what I was able to find is that UC does not accept English composition courses from international universities where the language of instruction is not English. So that would be the first thing, it's asking the student language of instruction at your school. And English, then they need to start with 101 with us so that they can take it with us. Also, the UC does not credit for junior or community college programs, technical or vocational, or that don't lead to further academic study in that country. I'll show you an example here. And this one, an asterisk because I'm still researching it. So what I read on a training, but if the training was back in 2007, is that courses from foreign institutions are not accepted on CSU GE Rep or IGETC if that school is not regionally accredited. So there are some schools like in Puerto Rico or other places that have regional accreditation. So if it's from another country, but it's regionally accredited, it's good. The reason I still have some question in my mind is because it said on that training back in 2007 that it was true for CSU GE and for IGETC. But then when I started looking at other schools, like I looked at Santa Monica College, because they have a lot of international students at their school, their IGETC sheet says foreign coursework is not acceptable on IGETC only. It didn't say anything about CSU GE. So it's making me question, like, did something change during that time? And I haven't been able to find it. It wasn't IGETC. I didn't find it yet. I'll keep looking for it, but I just want to put that out there. So here is an example of a foreign transcript evaluation that a student brought in to me the other day. It's like, yay, the universe is listening. I just came in with this. So I highlighted it. You can't see it because I had to take off all his personal information and it's not a great copy. But I highlighted up there that it is one of the services, one of the agencies that is acceptable. And what you're looking for when you have a foreign transcript evaluation is that it says this right here. The student's coursework is comparable to a regionally accredited U.S. institution. And sometimes it will say that their entire degree is equated to a degree here, but sometimes it will say their degree program was only 3 units and it's only equivalent to like 3 years in the U.S. It's not equivalent to a full bachelor's degree. But that's what you want it to say, because sometimes it'll say their course of study or their institution is not the same as a regionally accredited school here. Then on this one, this student had a bachelor's degree, but the student also had a long career in law enforcement in his country. And so he did all this study, all this coursework having to do with law enforcement, and that's what he wants to do here, administration of justice. And so he also submitted some other work, and what it says here is the highlighted part at the bottom. I know it's fuzzy and you can't read it, but it said, this coursework represents continuing education / professional development and would not yield academic credit in the United States. So his first degree was in like accounting or finance. At first, when we were chatting, since he said he has all this law enforcement background, I thought we were going to have some CJ coursework that we could use, but it turns out we can't because all his law enforcement stuff is not acceptable units for us. The other thing on here is it totals up the units, and sometimes the semester hours that are recommended over in that column to the right where it says hours, they're not 3-unit classes. They're like 2 or 1. And so then that could be a problem for us because it's not enough units for a particular area. But I was kind of looking at these classes that he has down here because he has general accounting, general economics, logic, mathematics, analysis, and those are all 3-unit classes. So I was hoping, and that's why I still have to research it, that I could use those in the CSU GE because so he can get an AJ transfer degree. But we might have to have a conversation about him getting the CJ regular AS and using the credits for our local GE. So that's an example of a foreign transcript. All right, now I'm gonna move on.
If I can add.
Yeah,
I also-
actually, yes, I was
Oh,
hoping you'd be back in the room by then, so
Okay.
Lorena, please
So
add.
what I've also done, is I've sent students to that, because they do have international evaluators, I've sent the students to the, like Kelsey San Bernardino, I know Lily has done the same, and they've told them, sometimes they've told them like, you're done.
Yeah, that's
We know
it.
that's some of the conversation. It's like, you're ready for like a credential, or you're ready for like a master's.
Yeah.
So again, so that's why too, even though like, I know I've done research, but I'm like, you know what, I'd rather you go to the source, so they can tell, because if you're done, then you can go on to the next, or you can do something else, fine. But if the transcripts for bachelor's degree equivalent to like a US bachelor's degree, then like the situation I told you guys last time, the UC said, no, they can't apply as an undergrad anymore, they have a bachelor's. And I was being funny, and I said, the only thing is to lie, but I wouldn't encourage that, that you don't, that's, but I said, I can't tell you to go and say you want to get a bachelor's, because the UC directly said, no, and I sent you. So it's also being mindful of the Cal States too. If they have a bachelor's that says on the transcript, go into US bachelor's degree, then that's kind of like a, go to that university, because I would hate for them to waste it.
For me, I've seen one, he was an engineer, and so he came back because of course his English was not the best. So he was like, I got it, evaluated. I was like, oh my God, you have your degree back. And I was like, yeah, but unfortunately, I don't know, have the English. And anyways, I have changed my mind. I don't want to continue in the engineer field. I want to do math and science. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to highly encourage you to go Cal State for the math and science, for math, because he wants to be a math teacher. And because of your engineering, you need to go and seek that out. So he left to go to Cal State, and they told him that was equivalent. So he could have started a credential for math teaching. So that's why it's, when I see those and like, what is the goal? Because you don't know what to do. And I had another lady that was doing dental hygiene from her country. They honored it, also the dental hygiene. So she just had to take her exam because it was equivalent. So it's like, now we have to just go through the agency to get you, study for the exam and then just take it. So those are kind of hard, but normally, yeah, we refer out.
Yeah.
Because depending what the goal is.
And this student, he doesn't have a transfer plan, so it's kind of like on us, where are we gonna approve for him?
Lorena, where did this one come from? What agency?
FCSA. Did I have it listed in there?
Orange.
This one's for you, Art. So sometimes students say they don't have a bachelor's degree, and then they get a Pell Grant. And then it turns out they get it evaluated, and they do have a bachelor's degree that's equivalent to a US bachelor's degree.
And that's why.
What happens in that situation?
Because the one that we're so used to, we used to refer them, I remember, the International Education Research Foundation, that's located in LA. Because when I was in San Diego, we had a lot of students coming from Tijuana.
Yeah.
And a lot of them did have their BA degree. However, we could not provide them with financial aid because they stated on their application that they had a degree. So until we sent this to them, and then it would come back, and guess what? It's not equivalent to a BA degree. So guess what? They're not eligible.
So,
Now,
so
some
in
were-
that case, if it turns out they get it evaluated and it's not equivalent to bachelor's degree, now they can use Pell
That is
Grant,
correct.
right, to
That
finish
is
up
correct.
more education.
Yeah, or isn't it true they can still get BOG even if they have a
BOG,
bachelor's?
BOG, it doesn't
There you
matter.
go. They can still get BOG.
So I'm gonna move on. So,
Okay,
so military service credit. Now, Fernando out there, wherever you are on vacation,
he's in Northern California.
you're gonna watch this and you're gonna help us straighten everything out. So I put this up here, it's a DD 214, just in case there are counselors who've never seen a DD 214. This is what it looks like. And it says down here at the bottom on the left, form, DD form 214. And this was the question I had for Greta, just to confirm that they have to have an honorable discharge in order to get priority registration with us and all the other things.
That doesn't have to say honorable.
It doesn't have to
It
say
can
honorable.
be general
Let's say-
under honorable.
Okay.
If it says uncharacterized, it cannot, if it says dishonorable,
Okay.
What
So it
about
doesn't have to say honorable, but it
It'll
cannot
say,
say.
it'll still say, it won't say just honorable, it can say honorable, and that is okay.
General or honorable. So my understanding at BBC is that the ED 214 is evidence that the student has military service and did basic training. And they may not have their military transcripts or not want to bring them for whatever reason. But this form allows us to waive the PC requirements on our local degree. But my understanding currently, because I don't think it's been decided, is that we don't award any units for that. We just, like Pam said in the other example, we check it off, but we don't give them any credits for it, if it's just the DD 214. For the Cal State system, a DD 214 alone will satisfy Area E on the GE breadth, and it will get 3 units. So in that case, if a student's pursuing an APT with us, then we are going to give them 3 credits towards their 60 total that they need for their APT with us. And as a reminder, we talked about it at the very beginning, but BBC allows a maximum of 32 units of non-traditional credit, and military experience is one form of that. And then UC does not award credit for.
I can add on that one too, in the conferences, at the conferences, UCs have stated that if you have military, pretend, and they have transcripts, evaluate their transcripts as if they don't have any military transcripts. That they said, let us decide if we'll honor anything, but when we as a community college counselor do it, do not include any of that. Let them decide that, because it's a high likelihood that a lot of their stuff is not going to be included.
And that's the next thing. So this is just a DD 214. So the next one is what Lorena was talking about, which is military transcripts. And thank you, Shanta, for sending all these over to us, because Matt had all kinds of examples to use. Okay, so the military transcripts look like this. They're called JST, Joint Services Transcripts.
Real quick, it says unofficial. These are always official. These come to us.
Okay. So
they're an image. And it says unofficial. They're official.
Okay. So let's make sure, Lisa, we're all on the same page with that. If the students are in our office and they log in with their own login credentials and they pull it up, can we put it in the box so it gets scanned into image now for them, or do they have to electronically request?
They have to electronically request. Get an email saying there's transcripts there, and Sylvia and I log into JFT.
Okay.
And then we pull those over to image.
But when you pull them over, it might say
It says
unofficial.
unofficial.
But if it's in image now, it means it's
We
their
put it
official.
official.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think transcripts say unofficial, but then on the bottom it says if signed and sealed official.
And usually our initials are on it, so you like
Yeah, you probably won't see anything on these because we are just like, we're not printing them out, we're electronically just putting them in.
So that's that first line there. UC awards military credit after matriculation to BDC. That's what Lorena was talking about. So what you were saying is pretend all those units don't exist and just advise them how we normally would,
And let them submit the transcripts and
see if there's more. Just as a reminder, if the students are using veterans benefits, they need to have all their official transcripts on file from all the different. You make the veterans ed plan, so you can add up all their units and see what we're counting or not counting. So the JST transcripts look like this, and they include ACE recommendations. So this is sharing. So it includes military courses, and over here on this side, it says ACE credit recommendations, and it tells you how many semester hours are recommended, and it gives you a description of like what they studied, and it has a little L over here. In this example, this is showing lower level classes, so those would be like lower division classes. And then some of this person's military courses credit is not recommended. So that's an example of that. And then this particular person has some recommended credits that are with a U over here, and that means upper level classes, so obviously those are like upper division. Unless we could use it somehow for subject. Then it goes on to give the military experience. And it would give credit recommendation, but this one doesn't. It also includes college level tests and other learning experiences. So under the other learning experiences, it's information that hasn't been recommended for credit for one of these 4 reasons. So then over here it shows like 2, 3, or 4. So this is like additional experience, but there's no credit recommendation. So sometimes the students might have done some coursework or a job in the military that's related to something that we have here, like computer information systems, electronics, criminal justice. And so, yeah, so sometimes sometimes the credit, when you read the description of what the credit's for, it might be something that we could use in their major here. And in those types of majors like CJ or CIS, where it says any 18 units are okay, then we could use those credit recommendations in the major. Now, somebody in the room help me. Do we see from those disciplines that, or can we do that? If we're going to use it.
I think they just put it in. I mean, if you had any doubts, you should ask.
That would be the same thing if we had other courses.
Yeah.
We automatically.
So at your discretion, put it in. Also, one other note about military transcripts, they're all together on this JST, but there might be students who have military work that was from a long time ago before there were JST. Their transcript was different before they all came together in the system. There is Community College of the Air Force, and that's a regionally accredited institution, so their course is like a normal transcript that you would find from other colleges. Okay.
Some of the military transcripts too, on that page, they'll list like, they'll say L, like all those divisions, and they'll have the hours.
Yes.
So sometimes you can always check on the very last page, they'll automatically bring you what that is.
Yeah, this one doesn't have that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Pam. They just
Yeah.
summarize it on a chart and it's easier to do that. Okay, so last one, we got 5 minutes. So, and Kim has one more too. So exams. We're talking about that before. So Lorena Ochoa is awesome, and she has information on the website. Go here. So on the Transfer Center website, Lorena Ochoa has this link here, AP, IB, and CLEP exam. So those are really awesome that they're there because they're always really easy to find. They're in our catalog. At BBC, our local academic senate includes our AP chart. So every so often we tell Mike McCracken, take it to the academic senate, if you want to change it in any way. And in general, they mostly align with what the Cal State does. But I put a couple of notes on this form just for you to be aware of. And Lisa brought up another one earlier today that I had forgotten about. So first of all, a score of 3 or better on AP language and composition course gives them credit for English 101 at BBC, but it doesn't meet information competency. So students have to go to the library and take care of that. And a 3 or better on the biology exam gives them credit for biology 100 at BBC, but our biology faculty does not allow that to serve as a prerequisite on anatomy, physio, and microbiology. So students who have that credit still have to take requisite course here at BBC. And then Lisa, the one you brought up is that on our local AP chart in psychology, it has to be a 4 or higher for us to give them psych credit.
I have a credit question. Maybe my 85. Talk about is all colleges have a 3 or higher on AP are given credit. So
We get to argue that with the department.
okay.
Because it's agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's been like the testing battle for a long time, because they're not aligned with the statewide mandates.
But our department could just say we don't give credit for psych 101 and 2 all together too, right? They have that option.
Yeah. And what did you say was your AP? What?
Okay, so moving on.
If I can add something.
Okay.
Last week, at the UC, and I didn't know this, UC Davis came and did a presentation just on UC Davis, but she did touch upon a couple UC-wide things. And the one thing that, Monica was there too, we learned, or I learned, is that if a student takes, this is a common, she said, a common UC system-wide thing. Everything else is, you have to look up each UC, but for UC, if a student took AP English composition, English language composition, and AP literature composition, you only get credit for one. You only get credit for one of the APs. Yeah. So, and then the second one, that's a UC system-wide. If they took psych or they took geography, then we have to go directly to those.
It's on this chart on the website.
Yeah, and then the second one is the AP, she said, and there might be more, but she just said these two, AP calculus. There's a AB, like AB sub, BC sub score or AP, they always take the sub score. So the last a couple weeks ago, I've had several students that I've seen that have passed like 8 AP exams. Quite a few actually now that I've been here. And this student, he passed AB sub score, BC, AB language comp, so, and I accidentally gave him credit for everything, yeah. So, but then I learned that, yeah, you only get credit for the sub score one. Whichever one is a calc sub score, that's the one you get credit. You don't get credit for both.
And the other thing that we want to be mindful too is if a student took an AP, let's say they took AP English composition, and then they took English composition, they are going to take the grade on that English composition, like negates the AP score.
So what we did on our end is, so a student took English 101 here, we get AP scores coming in later. We always check their records before we post any AP scores. If they already took English 101, credit for it. But, you know, at least,
And UC too.
or if we gave them their AP scores, yet they wanted to take it, we would then remove the AP score equivalency from their record.
So if a student, in that mode, if a student said, well, I want to take English composition. So, okay, you're going to a competitive school. Do you want to take a chance to Z in English 101? Or do you want to use your AP score and not stress the letter grade? Because now the letter grade is going to count against their GPA. If they're looking at a very highly competitive UC campus, I would say don't stress it. Just get your credit for your AP and worry about your other classes.
So I'm gonna try to wrap it up real quickly. So on this example here, that's why I put the third one, if you remember, was a psych AP test, and that's why I gave the units 5.3 on that one, because I was following the chart here that shows how many units the UC awards for the various exams. So going down the list here for the Cal State system, the chart is on the website right there where I was showing you that Lorena has up. It shows the system-wide units that are awarded and which CSUG area is allowable to be counted for, and any caps on units, but every campus may have their own chart showing how the courses will be certain major, or maybe they don't allow AP courses in their major. So campus, it could be campus specific. So on the next piece here, the UC for the AT section. It's the same thing as what I just explained for the CSU, and I put on here what Lorena was pointing out. I think UC does not allow duplicate credit for both college courses and AP exams in the same subject. So to clarify on that, Lorena, you were saying that they will take the grade or the test or whichever came first. How does it work? So I can make this correct.
That
Like if they took the test and got credit, and then they somehow took us for whatever reason, they won't give credit for both. So if they took the class second and they got a grade, then they have to take that with the grade, or do they ignore the class? I don't know. Okay, so we'll find out. But the bottom line, you get this credit or
Right, they can't get both. So that's why I say when you're advising them, they're trying to strategize, and they're going to UC competitive campus. It's like, don't stress that grade. Use your AP score and then focus on your math or calculus, whatever.
okay. So for international baccalaureate, the reason why I have a question mark there is because I honestly don't know what BBC's policy is. Baccalaureate, we don't have a chart or anything. I don't know if we do whatever CSU does, and honestly, I haven't really run into any international baccalaureate credit, so I'm gonna research that and get it on here. Sorry, I kind of ran out of time on some. I will continue.
Do you have any IB schools in San Diego when you were down there? I just know Cajon. I worked at Cal State down at school. A lot of students went to Cajon because their IB program there. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Cerritos, do you guys have any in that area?
So what I put for the Cal State and the UC is just what I took from their admissions websites, the information that I found there. For CLEP, just for your information, the CLEP chart is in our catalog, and it's also on the Transfer Center website for the UCs. I mean, just for the Cal States, because UC does not accept CLEP. But the CLEP chart is also another item that the Academic Senate locally approves. And so if you're wondering why they're on it or not on it, I know Jackie was asking me a question the other day. It is because that's what locally our faculty have determined what we're going to accept here. And a little note on that one is that our BBC nursing and respiratory therapy programs don't accept. And then for
I'm gonna double check because I think CSU doesn't accept that.
yes, it does. It's here. So back to the website.
Oh, there you go.
And so that's the link that we're gonna, like, but some give no credit. So certain areas of CLEP are not acceptable for and like, again, these all started to matter before because now, so we have to use CSUGE or I get C, and so now it's really matter.
Question. Are they, do you mean they're not taking any like upstairs scores for the nursing classes themselves or any of the stuff required?
In the journal.
Yeah, my understanding is they don't accept CLEP for anything at all, not the gen ed, prereq.
Is that the same thing for the respiratory?
Or nursing and respiratory therapy.
Yeah.
I could double check with Diane, but that is my understanding.
Yeah, because that happened to me. I took a class and I was like, no, it's not taken. So,
Okay, and then for Dante's, we do the evaluations. It says in our catalog that we do them after the student has 12 units at BBC. And CSU, some campuses accept Dante's, but UC does not. Okay, we're 6 minutes over, but Pam has one more page, which I think is really quick.
Yeah, but it's like, some of you may have seen transcripts that are like the opposite extension. So, oh, so you might have seen some transcripts that are from opposite extension. So like the UCs,
Lorena had put in here numbered X1, X199 or transfer courses. So theirs is like a system-wide thing. But for the Cal State, it's different. So for the Cal State, there is called Open University. And it's usually offered under the extended learning. So when you go into their websites, you'll see that Open University. So Open University is usually for non-matriculated students. So say, for example, a student needed to go back and decided to do the GE there. And then they want to transfer it back to BBC for whatever reason. And so they pay a separate fee for Open University. So you might get some of those too. So those are just kind of different like caveats you'll see. But remember, Office of Extension, extended learning, you might get like a history class like from UCR, and it'll have history 0019, whatever. It is transferable. We would still use that in our pattern. It's still useful. Open University, same thing, but it's housed differently under different CSU systems. So I called Cal State San Bernardino. I go, is this a CSU? And she's like, no. Some school will have it under extension, and some schools will have it under like San Bernardino College of Extended Global Extension. All named differently. But when you see that, you'll see it look different than the regular transcript. I don't have an example of that because I haven't seen one for a while, but they do come your way. And how do we handle this? Well, if it's UC extension, it's good to go. Right.
Yeah, I didn't pull everything from what I found on the UC website when I pulled out that line, but basically it said it's the same as the regular course, but it has an X in front of it because it's a non-matriculated student.
Right. So in other words, non-matriculated meaning they didn't go through admissions, they didn't do any of go through that process. They just wanted to take the course out on their own and pay for it big bucks because it's expensive to go through extension. Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any? Like Lorena said, email us questions, or if you find another resource, email the resource so we can put this document in the counseling pool because it's a living document and we don't want to miss out on anything because we're all doing the evaluation.
I have a quick question, just clarification on for the JSTs, so for the degree applicable at the bottom, you want to put the total units. So when we're doing like another college, like a CSU or something, then we're just having the units that we list on here, right? Or is it all of the units?
So I thought she said not to put the units on there. That's up to the CSU. Is that what you said, Lorena?
That would go like, but for here, like when I do the evaluation for the ed plan, like I'll put the units, normally it's 0, it's correct, we don't use any of them, but like I still have to use this. And so for the bottom, am I just putting, because sometimes, I know we only use 32, but sometimes I'll have a JC that has like 50 something. Am I putting that 50 something, or am I putting just 32?
I think that whatever we decide to do, we need to do it consistently, right? And so what I put on them is what the total is.
Okay.
Because we're just saying how many are there. Okay. We're not saying how many BBC is going to use, because we may use 0 of them if they end up just basically starting over here. But for consistency, I think we should all just put the total number of lower level degree on the degree applicable one. Okay. And for UC, for Cal State and UC, we really say, so just leave those one lane.
Okay.
Yeah, and like Miranda said, let it go because it's Cal State and UC. Yeah, we're not doing their evaluation.
What
I would say is put 32 max. Just write 32 max. JST 32 max, because this is one of the students also.
No, the student's not getting a copy of this. This is just our internal.
But this was them asking to be evaluated. Mm-hmm. So what do they get? When they get evaluated, how do they know they got evaluated?
And they get a copy of this though?
I thought they got a
We
copy.
could get them a copy of this, but ideally, the way it works is you do the evaluation, so you know what's finished, and we make ed plans on saying what these can do. So really, what we're giving them is what they need to take. But this was not meant, and we can follow up with Jennifer, because she's used to.
It wasn't meant for
institutions.
students to
It
have a
wasn't
copy
meant
of
for the
it, no.
students to have a copy of it.
But this is scanned in, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
We could
it's scanned
scan
in, so when a student came to our office, we can say, oh, this is what happened, this is for your evaluation.
Max is 32, so well, I would have put 4 of them because we can't. It's 32 max. So, I mean, if they had 57, you would put 32 max.
I'm
think
okay
that's
with
what
putting
we-
32 max because that's what I put on the deadline too, is 32 max.
Right, and if they had 15, then you put 15.
But there's not 32 max, because what if they brought in AP scores, and they brought in CLEP, and they brought in, they did stuff, they credit by exam.
Okay, well then you
that's
would
where it starts to get smaller.
Right, so then you can make that one small.
Yeah.
So from JST, but I don't think you should say they only had JST and nothing else. And they have 57 units. I don't think that's doing anything, but just with, means you looked at it and you know there's only 30. Can't count more than 32.
I think because we don't really have enough time to like hash it all out, we should make sure we connect with everybody, like I really want to know what Randall thinks too, and then make a decision, and then that way, so far, the ones that I have submitted, I just put their maximum number of points they have available, the ones that have. But I'll write it down for us to make.
So this is an external evaluation, right? Why are we putting BBC courses up?
We're putting how in the ADT, the course from the other college where it fits into the major. So in the major, it's the core for psychology and 3 classes together, so that's why we're saying it's in place of Psych 101. We're not saying it's an equated course, we're saying it's being used in that spot.
Okay, so I got a transcript and I saw an example. I'm gonna use that Duke University one. So I used it all in the general ed. And then I saw somebody put child development right here. And I'm like, why are we putting our courses here? It's an external evaluation. We're not doing an internal evaluation, we're doing an external evaluation.
See, I'm taking that to mean that site.
She
would want to use like one of my.
It's not the same course, but in Chafee's major, that's where that class is.
So that's why I was confused, like, why would I want to put this here if we're using this course? We're using this course already here, we already know that it's meeting the pass them on. Why do we need to put this course here? I don't care it's being Psych 101, I don't care that it's in that pass along ADT. That's what I was looking at.
But how would you know?
How would you evaluate it?
Yeah.
That's where you're using it.
Right,
Yeah, so it makes sense that you
These
have
other colleges, ADT, you're putting it right there.
So would you write Psych 1 in the core?
Yeah, I'm not writing it all in the core, I'm saying this is where it goes on that ADT. These courses belong on the ADT. Just like we said, on the differences of the patterns, some people haven't updated, so we're not saying it's in the core. When we know that the other school didn't have it in the core. That's just my opinion.
The other school did have it in there. So that's what we're saying, we're using it there. Because for this example, the core for us at BC has intro to psych and research. Those 3 classes. So if I just brought in a class called Psych 25 or something from another school, you all are not going to know what that course was. You're not going to know, was it the statistics method, was it the intro to psych? Right. So that's why I wrote it that way.
It makes sense.
That this class is now the student no longer needs to take psych.
So after the ADT, the one that I saw was a regular associate's degree. All our child development courses listed here.
Then they're
Then
probably
other colleges here.
Probably they were doing an equation.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we're not equating.
But in majors, but
That's what they're saying, what they're using it for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in a major at BBC that's not an ADT, that has specific courses like child development, construction, we have to say this course is in place of the one at BBC.
Right.
But it's used other that we're not equating.
So
We
if
have
it's,
to
if
put
it's,
that on
if it's
there.
auto, any unit, you would put nothing under the BBC area,
And you would just put all other.
course.
Right.
Still confusion? No,
I got it.
are we still confused or not?
I
All right, so then
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you for taking the time and doing this training. I think that's something that we need to do. I do have a question though. I kind of want to know, maybe during the fall semester, during the spring semester, I think we need another training. Maybe not for this, but maybe for something else. So I kind of want to hear from you, especially the new and part-timers, what you guys want to kind of know more about so that we can have a training. Because I think it's really essential now that we're doing this electronic implement that we're all consistent and we're all doing the same thing. So does that sound like a good idea for you guys? Yes.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think we should have a mandated once-a-month training. 2 hours is totally separate from our counseling. And our counseling meeting where it's like production.
Yes.
We should just have one day a month where we just all.
And so what type of training would be?
Whatever we all come up with.
Okay, so then here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to send me what you guys want training on, and then I'll get together with Diane. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
You want to finish that?